All right, welcome back to another episode of Just Buy Less Coffee, answering the deeper questions of American politics. My name is Troy, aka Keep Troy Blue. With me, as always, is Cathy Cannon, aka Cannon's Fodder. Cannon, the shit hath hitteth the fanneth.
That's one way of putting it.
The world, the world is over. We should all just give up now. I mean. So Donald Trump has won election again to the presidency of the United States. We're going to get into kind of some of the news aspects of that later on. I mean, we could analyze every cabinet pick or whatever. I don't know. I think this is more just kind of a visceral response type of show. We went live during the election. The live show was great, lasted a few hours. We kind of cut out right as the major results were coming in. So if this is sort of the first time that folks have heard from us since the election, and it's absolutely heartbreaking. It's terrifying. It's infuriating. It's all these things. Cathy, how are you doing in Florida? We were talking on the pre-show, so I know how you're doing, but let folks know how you're doing there in the Sunshine State.
That's the horrifying reality. I was gonna say we should probably score some ominous opening music for the show, like instead of the subtle, relaxing, jazzy coffee shop, it should be sort of like a boom, like a dread. I don't know. I don't even know, but
maybe not even do like an intro this time. I don't know. Yeah.
Just like screams,
Yeah.
like is it like the opening of a Halloween Horror Night show? Just
just like ah!
That's about where I'm at.
It's a nightmare. It's a fucking nightmare. I don't know. We'll get into sort of the nitty gritty of it. But I don't know. Just how are you feeling right now?
I mean, remember, I was hopeful Florida might flip, but also not holding my breath for Florida to flip. But Florida, as it tends to do, Florida. So there's that. Like I said to you in the pre-show, right? Like I am baffled that people could do this. And what I have noticed in the aftermath and the 10 days since this happened, a lot of I didn't know that was real. The number of people I've had who and this is what I said, my initial reaction the day after is I made a TikTok and posted it, and all I had to say is basically what I'll say here now is Elon Musk just bought the American presidency.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he did, and you can see it.
Oligarchy.
He made $70 million in the first billion with a B, $70 billion. This man cleaned up in the first week after the election. He is unilaterally going and meeting with you and ambassadors to Iran. Let's just change. How much clearer do you need it that you just I saw this one political cartoon. I think I should send it to you right now. Maybe you can clip it up on the screen. That I think sums it up best. But it's they convinced the working man, the blue collar voter, to vote for the Gilded Age.
Yeah.
That is the power of propaganda, right? Because I had one person who told me, who gleefully themselves voted for Donald Trump, to find out that they're now 70-year-old disabled parents who have been here for 40 years. He himself is what they would call, quote, an anchor baby, but he's my age, right? Gleefully voted to find out that Donald Trump wants to deport his parents because they are undocumented and they've been here for so long. And he's like, I thought that was a hoax, all the mass deportation stuff. I was like, they were waving the signs around at the rally. He's like, they told me that was AI. I was like, I'm done.
No,
I can't help stupid. I can't, they lit, it, and then I showed him clips of Donald Trump with the words coming out of his mouth. And they said that was a hoax. I was like, bro, I can only help you if you want to be helped. And you very clearly are not interested in that.
People Googling, what is a tariff? People Googling, how do I change my vote? This feels like 2000, 2004, 2016, these losses where you just sit back and you go, what the fuck is wrong with you fucking people? And this is why I said, and I took some heat. I took some heat for my video, but not as much as I thought. The people were pretty much on board with this theory. Is Kamala Harris lost and Donald Trump won because for a few factors, but mainly because of the supreme ignorance of the American voter.
Yep, that's what it is.
This
And the
is
power of
like,
propaganda, the two put together.
well, that's the other
Ignorance and
one. I was
propaganda.
going to
Yeah.
talk about that in a second. Was just the
Yeah.
like fire hose of lies that was shoved down people's throats. But even then, I can't. It's really, really hard to forgive people for being this ignorant.
Mm-hmm.
You can hold people's hands just so far. The
Yep.
information is there. If you want to know what Donald Trump's plans are, it's 2024. It's not 2016. He's not brand new on the scene. He's been president before. We all remember what that was like, kind of. Apparently, some people don't
I would
remember
hope.
what that was like.
They very clearly do not.
I cannot forget, like we said on the pre-show, like 2016 voters, like whatever, it's fine. You know what I mean? It's a lot of people, 2016 Trump voters that realized they made a mistake. 2020 voters, maybe a lot of those people changed their mind after January 6th. 2024 voters that voted for Trump or didn't vote, like you're either just stupid or evil. And I'm tired of apologizing for saying that. I'm tired of being politically correct. I'm tired of being nice. Like, if you didn't vote, if you voted for Jill Stein, if you voted for Donald Trump, you're a fucking moron.
You're a fucking idiot. Yeah, I'm so done
And
with you.
I don't have any sympathy for you. I don't have any, like, elections have fucking consequences, big time.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry. It's just like, I don't know.
I know, like a part of me feels kind of callous about it, but at the same time, I'm also like, you know what? I don't at all, because I tried to tell you. I warned you. I told you exactly what would happen.
2 years, 3
years.
Yeah,
and they told me I was stupid, and they told me I was dramatic. They told me I needed counseling, blah blah blah. But like, okay, then, like that's my official position on this. Okay, if that's how you feel, cool. I'm just going to sit over here in my house and hide from the world, and I'm going to dissociate for 4 years and watch it all fall apart for you. So I can't feel bad. I can't.
Oh, so yeah, I mean, the other thing was just, so yeah, I can't feel sorry, and I'm not going to apologize for calling these people stupid. There's an uneducated, there's a massive contingent of just ignorance as a result of a faulty education system, no child left behind. Just people do not know about enough about their own government at this point. Americans do not know enough about their own government to make educated, informed decisions in order to have a functioning democracy. It's not working. We have to improve education. We've got to fix this. No amount of fucking Democratic Party campaign messaging is going to fix the fact that people don't understand what the fuck they're voting for, and they're just voting based on vibes. Like nothing's going to fix that. And you could have the best campaign in history, and I think Kamala Harris coming in as basically off the bench, and the excitement that she generated, and the campaign that she ran was not perfect, but it was as close to flawless as you could possibly get given the circumstances. And she lost. And all these like Monday morning quarterbacks that want to talk about what a crappy campaign she ran, it's just absolute bullshit. If she had won this election, we would be talking about her like she was Obama, like she was like this transcendent figure. And it ran a stellar campaign. And that's the other thing that's another thing that really just stings me, Cathy, is, as you know, that I've been a fan of Kamala for years, and I hate this loss for her. I hate this for her family. I really, really want this woman to be president of the United States. I don't think I think she has the best chance of becoming president of any woman in the United States, save maybe Gretchen Whitmer. But she would be an absolutely wonderful, wonderful president, and I really want her to run again. But
I think she probably could, assuming there's another election. And to your point, I think the same. could probably win. And I've said this to a couple of people, right? Like, she ran a good campaign that had flaws, but every campaign has flaws. The issue with hers is that she had 107 days. So
Yeah.
there was no time to recover from normal flaws. The thing I would say that
And
frustrated,
no
the only thing,
primary to like test your
and
messaging and
no
test your
primary to
chops.
test your messaging, right? Which was going to be the point I made now. Like, at the convention, a lot of people were bitching about, well, they should have talked about their policies and their issues at the convention. All they kept talking about was Project 2025. I was like, fair, okay, but like, one, what are you all bitching and complaining about just learning about? Like, we tried to fucking warn you. I'm like, but also she did talk about her policies, right?
Yeah.
Like, she contrasted her policies. Like, well, all I saw was the Project 2025 thing. I was like, well, there we go. So that brings us back to the propaganda. I was like, so it wasn't that she ran a bad campaign, it's that she ran a short, like high speed, like fast paced, like never before been done before type campaign up against literally the richest man in the world controlling the media algorithms to make sure nobody saw her shit. Right.
And the most bullshit abdication of the fourth estate, sane washing, asinine crap that I've ever
I'm
seen
so done
from
with the fucking media.
the
Like,
fucking mainstream media that just went out of their way to enforce this ridiculous double standard that they
mhm.
pushed on Biden and then they pushed on Kamala, that the Democrats have to be perfect. And if the Democrats make the slightest fucking mistake, they're going to shine a spotlight on it for weeks. But
Yeah,
Donald Trump can get away with shitting his fucking pants on stage. And they,
quite
isn't it
literally.
funny how fucking age was no longer an issue after Biden left the race, even though Trump is the same goddamn age?
70 fucking 8 years old. Like, he's like, and here's my only consolation. Here's the only thing that is making me feel even remotely better about this. And it's because MAGA isn't as popular as Donald Trump. Does that kind of make sense? Like,
Oh, hell yeah.
there's a, yeah, like
He
there's
is that
people,
movement.
right, like, meaning that when he dies, I do think it dies with him. Like, you can point to, oh, well, JD Vance will pick it up, and there's all these people, right? But JD Vance doesn't win over a crowd like Donald
No.
Trump is. And I kind of called out Gen X on this one a little bit, which, oddly enough, normally, you know how, like, when I criticize them in any way, they lose their minds and they come for me. They did not this time, because what are you going to say? Literally the only generation where a majority of the voters picked Donald Trump was y'all. And because he a little bit plays into their victimhood, as I said in my video. But the other thing with it is that to them, he was just always a fucking celebrity, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
they were a very neglected childhood generation, which means they weren't very well educated, which means they didn't put value in education as they got older, which means they didn't continue trying to learn or pay attention to things. So their understanding of Donald Trump is celebrity from the 80s and 90s, TV star in the 2000s, and politician billionaire now with beautiful women, right? Like, that's all they know about him. So that's what they voted for. They're like, I want to be a billionaire that can get away with doing all of these things. So if I vote for him, I'll be able to do everything I want and get away with it. No, honey, it's rules for me and not for thee. You're going to figure that out soon. But that's what I think it is. Like, Donald Trump casts like some spell on people. And that's the thing with demagogues, right? Like, Huey Long was the same way, Father Coughlin. Like, there's something about a charismatic demagogue that just kind of blinds people, right? Like, Jim
Hitler.
Jones, like the cult leaders, all of them. Like, everybody wonders,
Yeah.
like, how could anybody follow them? I'm like, because when you're in a room with them, it's a different, like, like, think of a charming person that, they could also be evil. So take charming like me, make me evil, and I could run. I could fucking start a cult. Do you know how easily I could start a cult, Troy? Like, as charming and as
I'd be in the
funny and as
Cannon's Fodder
adorable I
cult.
am,
Hell yeah.
I could
We'd
start
all
like the
just be
most,
like, we'd all be wearing black tank tops and chokers and just playing
obviously,
Sims all
yes,
day.
plus just black everything, like
That would
black
just
like
be
our
fucking,
souls.
that would be the greatest
Should we
cult ever.
start a JBLC cult, guys? Follower people.
Speaking of,
We
okay,
should make shirts that say JBLC cult, yeah, JBLC cult, and nobody will know what it means. We'll just have the coffee thing, JBLC cult. Everyone will ask questions. You'll be the cool kid. Let's make shirts, Troy. Should we make shirts? Let's make shirts.
I don't know if we know enough about this Tulsi Gabbard sex cult that she was in, but that's some of that information is coming out now.
I only just saw that, and I was going to let you talk about that one because I get uncomfortable because, whatever.
Some people were saying it was AI. I'm looking at it. I'm like, I don't think that's fucking AI. I
Well,
think
people
that's
also
actually
thought that
Tulsi.
the actual legitimate rally that I watched was AI, even though because it made Donald Trump look bad. So you know what? I don't fucking care what people say. Did you actually see that EI or what's his name? Elmo. What's his name? Elon. There's his name. Um,
Elmo. I wish his name
I,
was Elmo.
I saw actually somebody has been like calling him scum, like Musk backwards, so scum.
Oh wow, I didn't pick up on that.
Um,
He is
so
scum.
I
He's
like that.
pure
That's why
fucking.
I
He's
couldn't
been
think of his
scum for
name.
years. He's a disgusting. Yeah.
Yeah, he's gross. But somebody asked his, I can't remember, like, what's his, Gronk? Is that the name of the Twitter, whatever the fuck it is, his AI or whatever? But his own
No.
AI called him the biggest spreader of disinformation on his own site. So his
Yeah.
AI,
Grok. Grok.
like his own artificial intelligence, like
Yeah. He goes.
your genius billionaire that you think is so smart, the AI that he said he developed himself
He
said
didn't
that
have anything
he
to fucking do
is.
with that thing.
Okay,
He
so how
goes
are
to
you going to
war
explain
with
that?
Grok all the time. Like Grok calls his shit out constantly. He goes to war with
And
his
I was
own
like,
AI
you
platform.
designed it, bro. So I'm like, either you're stupid or you're stupid in this one. So either you out loud are saying stupid shit or the technology you developed is stupid. So you're stupid in both cases,
I
Elmo.
absolutely love when Tim
I'm
Walz
gonna call
called
him
him a
Elmo Scum.
dipshit.
That is his new name on this show. Can we just confirm he's Elmo Scum?
Elmo
Or
scum.
Scum Elmo?
Did you see
Scum
like
Elmo.
2 days before the election when Walz called him a dipshit? He was like, "Wall." He was like, Elon's up there dancing around like a dipshit. I
He
was
is a
cracking up.
dipshit and he's
Then
ugly.
he names his make believe fantasy department that Trump just invented out of nowhere that has no congressional authorization or budget or anything like that or actual authority, and yet somehow they have all this fucking authority. Like, because that's not fucking creepy that Trump's just inventing fake departments that have
Can
real
we
power.
just talk about the fact that it's a meme department? They literally called it Doge.
It's called fucking Doge. Like, could
What
you be
the
more of a
fuck,
douchebag?
man?
They should just call it douchebag. They should just call it the Department of Douche.
It's just so unserious. Like the world is not taking us seriously right now. We are basically a giant frat party that the cops are about to get called on, right?
He
Like
branded a department that has the authority to take away your Medicare, according to
literally.
Trump, not according to Congress, not according to the Constitution, but according to Trump. Elon Musk now has the authority to take away your Medicare, and the department that's going to take away your Medicare is branded to benefit Elon Musk's Bitcoin operation, Dogecoin. It's literally called Doge. Like they're literally selling merch to like cross market.
Merch for government agencies, guys. They're selling merch for government agencies.
It's cross market between Dogecoin and the Department of Government Efficiency that's going to take your
the corruption is like off the fucking charts. Like, and this is a little bit my only hope, right? Because I don't know if you saw, or I know you saw, but those out in podcast land. But John Thune won Senate Majority Leader, right? Like against Rick Scott. So Rick Scott was the MAGA choice, and John Thune won. Now I'm not here to say John Thune is a winning choice. Like John Thune sucks in a lot of ways, but he's
better than Rick Scott, dude. He's better, and he's not a fucking Trump stooge.
He's better than Rick Scott, and I think would at least be willing to break a little bit, because like what I think Republicans should be paying attention to, because they're all high on their like, we took the Senate, you were going to take the Senate, this year favored you, right? Like we all kind of knew that going in, right? It would have been a goddamn miracle for Democrats to hold the Senate. Like we knew that going in, like based on
the math wasn't there.
Like based on the seats that were up, that was the most likely scenario, right? I guess you can brag about taking the House, but your majority is just as small, I think. Like a few seats flobbered, but the numbers are the same.
Basically, Congress is the exact same. You have barely a Republican majority in the Senate with the filibuster still in place. Thune said the filibuster is
barely a Republican majority in the House, right?
So Republicans can't really do anything in the Senate. They have to get by the filibuster, and still basically nothing has changed in the House. It's still like a tiny handful majority in the House, and you saw what they were able to do with a handful majority in the House. Even they couldn't get anything out of the House.
Which
last time. So I mean, nothing's changed in Congress. Congress is still going to be a monumental shit show, and now they're going to blame Trump for that instead of being able to blame Biden. So I mean,
they're going to try and blame Trump for it, but Trump will blame them for it, because what I think you're going to see. Yeah, well, here's my bright side. This is the only bright side I can find. Is like Is America going to devolve into civil war? Yeah, probably, but I don't
Probably.
think it's going to look like what you think, because I don't necessarily think it's going to be a Republican versus Democrat civil war or North versus South civil war. I think the first civil war that'll have to take place, so we're all at least safe, I think, until the midterms, because it will be a Republican civil war between now and the midterms, because
They're
there
in
will,
charge. Like, what are we
well, no,
supposed
not
to
only
do?
that, it's
Well,
just
they
because,
have
like,
they have all three branches of government at the federal level.
and they're just going
They're
to be
in
fighting
charge.
with
It's
each
their
other.
fault. They own it. Like the rest of us just get to we could just sit back and fucking eat popcorn for
And
the
sit
next
back
at
and
least
watch,
2
right?
years.
Because
We have
because
no
what
power.
yeah, because like if you follow history, right? Even when Hitler took over Germany, he didn't go after his like marginalized groups first. He cleaned out his party first. And to be
Yeah.
fair,
Yeah.
Donald Trump has had a little bit of a head start. He's been doing that for a few years now. But to be fair, so was Hitler, because he was cleaning out like the party from the fire at the Reichstag, if you remember, right? Like, so
He
that had
fucking
been
owed the original guy that like brought him in. Anyway, that's another show. But yeah.
it's fine. So what I think is that, like, because it's about an 18-month window that the not even an 18, it's probably like a 10-month window that the first Congress really has to do Donald Trump in any way. Elon Musk already come up and promised to primary challenge any Republican that stands in his way, right? So, like I said, it'll be Republican infighting first, and that is the only thing I think that is going to be the silver lining, because Republicans should notice that they may have technically won these elections, but they didn't really. Like, Democrats performed better in places that Republicans shouldn't want Democrats performing better. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and I feel like with the buyer's remorse and the undoubted infighting that we're about to see, like, remember, it took them 15 votes to pick a speaker, and now they're going to try, like, the guy that started the 15 vote for a speaker disaster, they think they're going to get confirmed as attorney general. Like it's been not even 2 full weeks since the election results, and we've already got like half of his cabinet appointment nominees are like about to have to are facing sexual assault.
Well,
Like, what the fuck is
let's
happening?
let's get into the cabinet stuff in a second. And by the way, I'm hearing that upwards of 30 he basically has upwards of 30 Republicans are prepared to vote against Matt Gaetz.
Yep.
But I just want to touch on the election one last time before we get into the cabinet stuff. Again, like I don't okay, so first of all, it's not a fucking landslide. I really don't want people to get away with calling this a landslide Trump victory. First of all, we come from like the 80s, 90s school. A landslide is 84 when Reagan won 49 states. And that was Ronald fucking Reagan. This
I
was
feel
not
like I'm reliving it
just
all.
because Trump cracked 300 electoral votes. Listen, Kamala Harris is 3 million behind and climbing in the popular vote. You don't get to just take a snapshot election night and see that she was like 16 million votes behind or whatever. She's currently encroaching on 2 million votes behind because there's still a ton of votes out, and most of the votes out are in California and the West Coast, which is mostly Democratic votes. So it's a very, very close election it's going to end up being a very, very close election in the popular vote. So let's wait till we get the final official result before we do any kind of analysis on how big of a victory it was in the popular vote. But even in the swing states, it was a fucking razor thin in swing states. It was 50 to 48 in Pennsylvania. It was 49 to 48 in Michigan. It was 51 to 47 in North Carolina. Not as good. In Georgia, 50 to 48 million, 1 million, 2 million votes behind. In Wisconsin, 49 to 48. Like Arizona, 52 to 46. Trump with 1.7 million, Harris with 1.5 million. Nevada, 50 to 47. All of these, basically, if these were polls, these are in the margin of error. Each one of these like crucial swing states tied, barely skating by. So it's like it's
it couldn't have had
the idea of all
anything to
this
do with the bomb threats, right? Couldn't have had anything.
Yeah, and then there's bomb threats on the down, like keeping people out of these polling places in Georgia. This is not a time to sit around in Monday morning quarterback and talk about all how Kamala let everybody down and the Democrats weren't listening to what the American people and what we were out of touch. No, fuck that shit. It was a close ass election. People didn't show up and people didn't vote, and and we had the stupid contingent that came out and voted for tariffs and they didn't know what a tariff was. and you
I can't
had a
even tell you how much
fire
that means.
hose of lies. You had AI. Yeah, this is the first real election where AI played a major role. You had fake
Mhm.
recordings of Kamala Harris's voice that went viral saying stupid things. You had images of Trump wading in a river, saving flood victims. You had the combination of AI in this race versus it also
Yep.
the continued reality that we have lived in with Citizens United, which has
Mhm.
basically defined and created the entire Trump era, the Citizens United decision, where we had a shit ton of dark money that was playing dirty, that was spreading lies. Just these people could only win by lying through their fucking teeth. And I want to give the Democrats credit, like what you said earlier about the Project 2025 things. Like people were criticizing Democrats for talking about Project 2025. I think that was a good move. You know why? Because Democrats typically just talk about policy and they talk to people like they're smart, and they talk to people like people
Very
vote
clearly.
based on rationality and cost benefit analysis, and they're voting for their own best interest. No, people do not vote based on intelligence. They vote based on emotion, and largely what they vote is based on fear. So for the fact that Democrats have finally realized that people
Mhm.
vote based on fear and they're going to give them something to be afraid of in Project 2025, I think they didn't go far enough, Kathy. I think in
Mhm.
2026 and 2028, we should just come out and just say, vote for it. Should just be a middle school like student body president election. Vote for us and you don't have any homework. Vote for us and everybody gets a fucking pizza party. Like just
And
tell
I
people what they want to fucking hear. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of
Well, on
losing
that
because
note, did you see that the most recent literacy rates for the country came out?
yeah, no, I didn't say it. What I was say.
Sixth grade reading level. The average
Yeah,
American
sixth grade reading
sixth
level.
grade reading level, meaning that the average American doesn't have a Lexile score high enough to read like the instructions on their prescriptions.
Like just don't fucking tell me that the Americans are smart and we need to like adjust our messaging to reach, the concerns of real Americans. No, Americans are fucking stupid and they just want
Yeah.
to be pandered to.
The
And I'm
average
tired of being nice
American
about it.
can't read beyond Diary of a Wimpy Kid.
They can't read their fucking ballots, let alone they can't read the voter information packets, let alone
Mhm.
make a
And
discerned electoral choice.
and
Until
on that note,
education improves
yeah,
in this country, the Democrats should just tell people what the fuck they want to hear. Just lie to them. Lie
seriously,
out
and
your
it's
fucking
so bad.
ass.
And I
We
told you,
live
like
in it. We
those
live
two.
the world is stacked against us. We can't keep
Uh,
just telling people are like making pretty ads about morning in America and let's all just have hope and joy and optimism. Just fucking lie to people and tell them what they want to hear. I don't care. I just don't fucking care anymore.
to that point, um, I was laughing to myself as you were saying it, right? Because the hope and joy thing versus the fear thing, I was thinking about that the other day, like very, very specifically. And it was that, like, normally everything she did would normally, like, in a normal political world, she did everything right, right? But the issue is that we're not in a normal political world. And it's
Not even
like,
close.
yeah, like, and it's just not gonna work, right? So she offered hope and joy, he offered fear and hate, and I guess what the takeaway message is that people are more angry than optimistic. And I guess that's fair because if you follow like the historical parallel, we're in what was European age of anxiety between the two world wars, right? Um, and that's sort of what Hitler appealed to, right? Especially in Germany, there wasn't a lot of hope like when hope was returning to Europe, when the depression started to you know settle down. That was not true for Germany. So it was easier for him to sell fear and hate than it was for him to sell hope and joy. And that's the same path that like Trump took, right? I'm going to exploit your fear instead of offer you hope. And it worked because America is a lot more angry of a country than I think we realized, because America is still very traumatized by, I think, a lot of things that they haven't been allowed to effectively grieve. Like, think about it, going all the way back to 9/11. We didn't really get to grieve 9/11 because we had to use it to go to war, right? And you weren't allowed to speak about it in any way other than rah rah America. So there's still a lot of complex feelings for a lot of
I,
Americans about that and the wars they caused.
just
Then
real
add
quick.
to that the pandemic and so on and so forth.
Just real quick, just on the 9/11 thing, real quick. I was thinking about the other day, how we were all sitting around really nervous and really depressed, not because we had just been attacked, but because we knew that there was a war coming. Like
Because there
we
was a
knew it
war.
was going to be instantaneous, that like we were going to be
Yeah.
going to war and that like our friends were going to die overseas somewhere.
Yep.
You know?
And not only that, but it was that coupled with the reality of like Cold War propaganda fucking lied to us. Remember growing up, we were the best country in the world. Everybody loves
Yeah.
America. Everybody wants to be just like America, shiny city on the hill, all that bullshit. And like that was the longest day in the world because one, oh my God, we're going to war. Oh my God, we're the age of the kids that go to war. Oh my God, is this going to be Vietnam? All these things playing in your head, but then the same reality
I
of
was 18.
yeah,
I was
and I was
fucking
19, right?
18.
And I was like the whole thing. I was like, they don't love us. They don't
Yeah.
like America. They hurt us. They just attacked us. And then as they're reporting on what had happened, like I'm a political science major in college, so I start reading. I was like, fucking nobody likes us. I was like, it was all bullshit all along. Like America is so not what we tell Americans it is. And like so then you're grieving the, version of the country that you thought you had while fighting a war in very formative years. Like there's a lot of it, right? And then that was followed by a fucking economic recession. And then like I remember being so sad after the election because I was like, and I said to somebody, I was like, I was just starting to feel better, right? Like my student loans were covered. I was just starting to get on my feet. But my financial situation is finally starting to look like tenable, right? Like I was finally feeling like I could breathe again without the student loans looming over me. I finally started like settling into my house. I finally started to feel like the whole world wasn't just going to get like shaken up around me because at like 19, like 9/11, right? 2008 I was 26, 27, right? So that's like the economy falls apart. 2020, I was like about to turn 40, the world falls apart, right? Like I've never felt settled. I have never been able to just sit still. Like right before I turned 20, we went to war. Right when I was turning right when I was turning 30, the economy collapsed. Right when I turned 40, the world shut down. I don't want to know what 50 is going to bring. It
50 is
it
going to be
hasn't.
awesome because you're going to
I'll
come to
hope
Europe
like
and live with us in
maybe I
Europe,
don't
and
know.
it's
Well,
going to
I
be a
still
fucking
like
party.
that's what I'm saying. Like I was like I was devastated by this election because the rug just got pulled out for me again. Like the economy's going to crash again. I was just starting to breathe again. And you're going to pull the rug out from me again. It was the same thing. I graduated from college. I got a job. I was like, I'm doing okay. 2006. I'm like, I'm doing okay. It's going to be like, I started feeling like I did a good job. I turned my life around. I'm not the dipshit stoner teenager. I'm going to be a success. Never fucking mind. Right.
Well,
And
let's
then
not, let's not get carried away.
and then getting it together, right? Like, look at this, never fucking mind, right? The world shuts down. Like,
We could do a whole
just
deep dive on tariffs because they're coming.
I know, I'm just so sad, Troy. It's like my life will never be settled. I'll never be able like that weight of just fear and dread that I've carried around with me for 20 years, I thought was gonna finally start to lift, and no.
If you voted for Donald Trump because you thought that Donald Trump was going to improve the economy, you deserve
You're the dumbest
shitstorm
dumb
that's
fuck
coming
of
in the
all the
economy.
dumb fucks.
Holy fuck. So anyway, to sum up, close ass race. In a race where Democrats had to be perfect and Trump could get away with shitting his pants on stage, literally swaying on
Sitting on a
stage to
fucking
music for
puppy
45
pad.
minutes.
Yeah, literally sitting on a puppy pad.
We're not allowed to say anything bad about Republicans, but they could, because if we say anything bad about MAGA, it's the worst thing that's ever happened. Like if Biden calls MAGA garbage, dominates a news cycle for a week and a half, but Trump gets away with calling us scum and vermin and the enemy within, and saying he's going to use the
Poisoning the blood of
military,
the country.
poisoning the blood of the country, and he's going to use the military to deal with us. You cannot win in that environment. You cannot win. Nope. It doesn't matter. You could run the greatest campaign in the history of the United States. Jesus fucking Christ himself could return from the dead and run for president of the United States. And by the implicit nature of him being the son of God, run the most perfect fucking campaign ever in the history of Republican and Democratic politics. And he would still lose in an environment of the American mainstream media, AI, and Citizens United. That the combination of those three was a trifecta from hell that guaranteed that Donald Trump was going to be the next president of the United States. And I don't want to hear anybody fucking tell me that Kamala Harris ran a bad campaign because she barely lost to these fucking clowns
and to
in
the
that
point
kind of political environment.
Right. And to the point, like, I don't know if you saw it, but like Chuck Todd, like, announced something or tweeted something or whatever that, like, Trump's confirmation hearings might be what saves, like, cable media's ratings. And I wanted to light that
Chuck Todd
motherfucker
could
on
shove it
fire
up his fucking
because
ass.
that
I hate
proves
that
it,
guy.
right? Because they know their ratings are falling. They, like, the only reason that their ratings were high during the Trump administration was because everybody was fucking terrified of what he was going to do every day. And they fell during the Biden administration because you could fucking breathe again. They literally sold us out for profits. Like, I'm never turning on MSNBC again. I'm never turning on CNN again. I'm never turning on any network news channel ever fucking again. Ever, ever, ever.
Just
Like,
watch
I
mine.
can't. Seriously, and that's what I'm saying. Like, to everybody, like, find independent journalists. Like, follow us,
Midas
follow
that.
Troy's Midas, right? And tell Midas that they should add me to it because seriously, like, because I'm gonna get fired. I'm in Florida.
That's
I'm fucked. I'm so fucked.
that's the other thing, Cathy, is
I'm scared, man.
I'm sorry, I just keep interrupting you. That's the other thing is just real quick, the podcast, the MAGA podcast complex, right? We had, just when the fact that people there's 150 douchebag bro podcasts that people can choose from, the fact that right-wing media never has paywalls and legitimate media does, quote unquote legitimate media does have paywalls. Like, we are not set up as a society to reward thought. We are set up as a society to reward fucking dumbass people who are just looking for vibes. Like, and the Democratic, again, it's the last thing I'm going to say about it. Democratic Party better get on that fucking train. You better start a fucking podcast network of people that's just going to blast bile down people's throats.
Yeah, like,
For,
if the Democratic Party was smart,
24
they would be
hours a
calling
day.
up. Yep, they'd be calling up like our show, like TJ Whitehead's, like their what's his
Yeah.
show called? The Left Wing. Is
I
that what he
never
calls
remember
it?
what
I think the
TJ's
Left
show is
Wing.
called because I just
I
remember
know, I'm
TJ,
so
like
sorry,
just
TJ.
TJ's
I think
show.
I want to say it's the Left Wing podcast. That's
Yeah,
what I
the
think
Left
it's
Wing
called.
podcast or something like that. Yeah.
But that's what they should be doing. They should be calling all of us up and be like, here's a bunch of fucking money, make shows for a year. Here's a bunch of fucking money, make shows for, like, that is what they would do if they were smart. They would go find left-wing content creators that have good followings, good support, and who are fucking intelligent. And yes, I mean me and Troy, DNC, if you're listening. And you just need to like pay for, like, give us money, say this is a year, make it work. And I'm a school teacher. I don't need a lot. I can live on a little for a year. Like, it will not take a lot of money to give me a job for a year doing this full time. Democratic Party is all I'm saying. I'm poor already. Like, it's not going to take much. Like,
the way that the mainstream media sane washed Trump, like, they are going to be the ones to swing after this. Like, they're like the compliance in advance of the Los Angeles Times refusing to endorse and the Washington Post refusing to endorse. Like, these people are scum. Speaking of Elon Musk, backwards.
But that is what I think they should be doing. And am I shameless enough to say they should give it to us? 100%. Because that would be the only protection I have. Because then I'd have, like, because when Ronnie comes for me, guys, if you like this show, if you like me, you're gonna need to do something to save me, because
start a GoFundMe.
So if you're not a patron already, okay, watch me do this.
The Patreon account just became the, like, Save Cathy fund.
Save Cathy from the gulags.
Save Cathy from the gulags fund.
Ronnie's coming.
I'm in Europe.
Right away.
I'm gone. Like, I don't, but it's still fucking scary. Like, I don't, it's not like Europe is immune from what Trump's going to do in the next few years.
I know. I'm scared for Ukraine. I'm devastated for the Palestinians, because I swear, if one fucking watermelon mafia motherfucker comes up to me and says, I can't believe what's going to happen to Palestine, I'm so sad, I'm going to punch them square in the fucking teeth, because they called me a supporter of genocide for telling them, like, I understand it sucks, but you're going to have to do this because it's bad, but it'll be worse. I can't believe that he's going to do. I wonder if anybody spent months telling you. I wonder if somebody tried to explain to you slowly and methodically why what you're doing is stupid. But you were so smart. You knew better. You couldn't vote for genocide. You just fucking did. Like, we tried to tell you. You're not voting for genocide. You're voting to stop a genocide. They didn't listen. Here we are. They just signed the death warrants of everybody in the West Bank. And the blood is on their hands, and I don't care. Motherfucker comes to me, I'm so done with them.
Did you see The uncommitted Michigan delegate who went on CNN, it was like begging Biden,
begging Joe Biden for
Gaza.
help. Like I would knock his teeth out if I was there. I don't even take him seriously. I was like, we were trying to help you. We told you very
that ship
specifically.
has sailed, homie. Like, I'm sorry.
I'm
like,
so sorry.
Go
And
ask
I was
Donald
like,
Trump for help. He's your president. Oh, like
and remember, we were even explaining us like the reason Joe Biden is basically like, stroking BB's dick in public is because he knows Donald Trump is talking to him. He knows he's not going to get BB to move because he knows Donald Trump is a la Ronald Reagan Iranian terrorist style, right?
We've been talking about this for months, Cathy.
Trying to tell. I'm so fucking mad. I was like, on the day of your judgment, when you stand before Peter at the gates, I hope he pulls up your fucking TikTok talking about like Holocaust Harris and sends you down. Just hits the button and watches you drop. Because
you
Holocaust
literally had
Harris
a candidate
is not
that
Mike Huckabee, right?
Kamala Harris's literal policy was ceasefire, two-state solution. Trump's policy was bring out the bulldozers, annex Gaza and the West Bank and southern Lebanon. And some of these people were just uncommitted and didn't vote. Some of these fucking people voted for Trump, and now they're like, wait, I don't understand Trump. But what is Trump going to be? I don't understand Trump appointing Mike Huckabee to be the U.S. ambassador to Israel. Why would Trump do that? That's really hard on the Palestinians.
Remember Mike Huckabee's daughter was his press secretary? Like, you think Huckabee is such a popular name that Sarah Huckabee Sanders isn't related to Mike Huckabee? They both have the same stupid fucking look on their face.
Mike Huckabee is a Christian evangelical dominionists. These are people. And by the way, if you're Jewish and you supported Donald Trump, Mike Huckabee and his brand of Christianity, they don't support. These are Christians that support Israel because they believe that if the Jews control the whole of Israel, that Christ will return and destroy them. These are Christian. The Christian Zionists are the people that want Israel to exist just so that it can get wiped out by the second coming of Christ. So if you're Jewish and you voted for Donald Trump, that's also what this is about.
It's a roundabout way, like ass to your elbow, right? But that is their logic somehow. It just drives me fucking insane, man.
So let's talk cabinet real quick. So Gates to AG, I don't think that's happening. Like I said,
the thing is,
we're hearing that up to 30. It started with like 2. It was going to be like Susan Collins and Murkowski, where it couldn't do it, and so they need 4 Republicans to vote no. 4 Republicans would be the majority no. We started with Collins and Murkowski. We're going to vote no, and then now it's up to 30. I'm hearing that up to 30. It's going to be a fucking bloodbath to keep Gates out of there.
The worst part about Gates's nomination is it's so fucking glaringly obvious that it was a tactic to hide this ethics report.
Yeah,
the day before the ethics
from the House, by the way,
immediately, right? And the only reason you do that is because now I'm not under the authority of the ethics committee. Gosh, I guess you can't release that report that says I trafficked 17.
And Mike Johnson is gleefully playing along.
And here's the other thing that I'm gonna. You remember the Cathy called it thing? I had somebody put in my comments like, I miss Cathy called it. We should bring that back. So let's bring it back for a moment. Cathy called it. You want to know what I'm calling right now? Within the first 6 months of Donald Trump's administration, he's going to pardon Josh Duggar.
He's going to appoint Josh Duggar to his cabinet for something.
Well, I don't know about all that, but he'll pardon him. You know why? Because Josh Duggar is very close friends with the Huckabee family.
Yeah.
He worked for the Family Research Council, which is a big right-wing media thing, whatever.
He worked for FRC
so Mike Huckabee is going to he's going to be like, it's a good Christian man with a family, and they unlawfully prosecuted him, and they illegally searched his computer, and now he's in prison for blah, 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 just for fucking little girls. How mean is that? Just for fondling his sisters and watching an infant be molested. No big deal, right? I guarantee he's going to pardon Josh Duggar, and I'm going to lose my fucking shit. I'm going to set things on fire. Mainly my eyes.
He's going to pardon Duggar. He's going to pardon all the January 6th people.
Yeah, that one's obvious, but I guarantee this is going to be the thing that probably nobody thought of. So this is the Cathy called it on this day, November 16th at 11:14 a.m. Cathy Cannon is calling that Donald Trump, within 6 months of him taking office again, will pardon Josh Duggar for his federal sex crimes.
Here's a Troy called it. This is a rare Troy called it. Ready for this?
Yes.
You know who the Secretary of Education is going to be?
Well, there won't be one. He's getting rid of the whole department.
Well, he needs one to wind it down.
Well, I guess
you know who it's going to be? Chris Rufo.
Oh, fuck me.
Chris Rufo, the guy who invented the critical race theory myth, the myth that critical race theory was being taught to kindergartners to destroy public education, the guy that basically got the presidents of Harvard and MIT fired. This guy is like decided to dedicate his life to destroying black people and people of color getting educated in this country, is going to be the one that gets appointed to lead the Department of Education to shut it down. That's going to be my prediction.
You know what I can't wait for is I can't wait for the fucking PTA Karens to realize that their precious won't have an IEP anymore.
Yeah, can you speak on that real quick? Okay, so if the Department of Education goes away,
I'll have a lot less paperwork to do, so there's the upside. And I do hate paperwork.
What are these people looking at if Department of Ed goes away? It's not Department of Ed. We do a whole show on this. Department of Ed does not control curriculum. They just provide parity. They provide funding to create some semblance of parity in public schools, because public school funding varies neighborhood by neighborhood. And when schools are really struggling, or they have a lot of a depressed group, like a lot of disabled kids, a lot of non-English speakers, that's when the Department of Education steps in. But the only reason why disabled students get an education in the first place is because of the Department of Education funding IEPs. It's the only, in the cruelest stroke of irony, these people who have told us for the last 4 years that the biggest women's rights issue of our time was trans kids playing in women's sports. The only reason girls sports exists in the first place is because of the Department of Education, because of Title IX. So I don't know.
Well, yeah, like this is what I'll tell you. The Department of Education, to Troy's point, does not deal with curriculum. It deals with funding and oversight. That is it. That is what they do. They provide funding for schools, like Troy was saying, but not just that, but like for very specific programs. For example, like ESE programs for like exceptional student education, ELL programs for like students trying to learn English, Title I funding for like poor schools, supplemental like nutrition programs beyond what the regular Farm Bill, provides. So like my school, for example, gets an additional grant because we have like such a high population of low income students. So we actually, like, not every school in Florida does this, but our school specifically qualifies for this grant that feeds kids breakfast, lunch, and an after school snack at my school, all for free, no charge. And that's funded through the Department of Education. So that's going to be fucking gone. Right. 504s, IEPs, all of those are like regulated and overseen by the Department of Education. The law under it is it's IDEA, it's the acronym, but it's the Individuals with Disabilities in Education Act. And it's basically like what these departments work for, and why they're split up into departments is because the executive branch, like the president and all of his little people, are responsible for executing the laws of Congress. But the president and one person like can't possibly fucking on everyday basis make every decision for everything, right? So we appoint secretaries to different departments to handle different things. So the Department of Education makes the decisions on behalf of the executive branch for all things related to education, right? And if that's gone, then you're leaving it up to the states. Oh, yes, fine, leave it up to the states. Right. So that means if states decide that segregated schools are okay, there's no Department of Education to say that's not okay. If your state says that all, specific students get to take good classes and the rest of you just sit in the library all day, there's no Department of Education to do that anymore, right? 504s are gone. Like Title II rights are gone. Title I gone. Like
Title III, if you don't
gone.
speak English, you're not getting an education.
Yeah.
IEP's gone. If you have a learning disability, guess what? You're not getting if your kid has a learning disability, guess what? They're getting no extra help. They have to sit their ass in a regular classroom, and you just have to hope for the best, because they're not going to get an individualized education program that caters to their specific learning disability.
Double time for the SAT will not get double time for the SAT anymore. All your students that get fee waivers to apply to college, they're going to pay $85 per application again. Like all of
the only reason why
your
FAFSA fucking
forms
little
are gone,
scratch ass
your
red state town in the middle of nowhere has a school is because of the Department of Education.
And not only that, but like the Department of Education is what allows like blue state tax dollars to make it into red states to help them. So like Mississippi, your school's about to get even fucking worse somehow.
There's not going to be any schools. Like Mississippi is just going to be like a wasteland. You know what I mean? Like,
which is what they want.
There's no schools. There's no jobs. There's not, like, it's literally just Thunderdome. Like, it's just like, and there's no healthcare. There's no doctors because all the doctors fund the state. Like, there's no jobs. Everything's tariffed. You can't afford anything. Everybody's like, it's 100% unemployment. Like that's like.
And I can't even feel bad for them because I spent 9 years screaming, telling you what would happen if you kept supporting this stuff. So I'm just going to like watch it happen and be like, well, gosh, I'm sorry the leopards ate your face. Who could have seen that coming?
Yeah.
I love this. I just saw Elon Musk's X collapses. Hundreds of artists and media flee to a booming. So like X is bleeding
Are
out.
you on Blue Sky? You're on Blue Sky.
Yes, I told you.
Get on Blue
I
Sky,
didn't know
people.
you were on. I think I was on there before you, Troy. Only by like
Because
a few hours, maybe.
I tried to join Blue Sky like in the first 2 days when it was like, okay, when Elon took over Twitter, it was like, okay, everybody's fleeing. That was the last mass exodus. It was like, okay, you got the other options are Threads or Blue Sky. Blue Sky was like barely developed. And I think at that point you needed like an invitation to join Blue Sky or
Yeah, I think
whatever.
in the beginning, but it
So we
was
all went to
easy
Threads, and Threads was great for about a month and a half, and then Threads just became kind of Twitter light.
because yeah,
Um,
exactly. Because it's
but Blue Sky's
Facebook,
great.
and
Blue
Facebook
Sky's
was
been great.
already that problem. Blue
Yeah.
Sky is so refreshing. Like the way I used to go on Twitter way back in the day to just sort of like zone out and laugh at stuff and like have fun and be silly. Like that's Blue Sky. Like it's so refreshing to be there. I love it. Also, Trump's popular vote is down to 1.7%.
Yeah, it's falling. It's keeping
Like, can
falling.
you see how close?
Tulsi
Like, it look,
Gabbard for DNI. That's wonderful. And Robert F. Kennedy. We don't really even have time to talk about the Tim Hegseth stuff, appointing a weekend Fox host to be Secretary of
dude,
Defense.
I
But
can't even handle how
what are your
stupid
thoughts
that
on
one is.
RFK at HHS? This is another one that I think that Hegseth might go through. I think they might put up a fight for Tulsi, Gates, and RFK. I think
I
they're
don't
going to
think
spend. I
Hegseth
think they're
will
going to
go
spend
through
their political
either.
capital on those three. I think Hegseth is going to go through. Is going to go through as SecDef.
I don't know, because apparently I read something about how he wanted to, like, back in his first administration, he wanted to put him in charge of something, but they basically said, bro, he got white nationalist tattoos all over his arms. No. So I feel like they'll fight him on that one too.
Really has Iron Cross tattoos on his pectorals.
Yeah, seriously. But what I'll say about RFK is I saw the best. I can't remember the guy's name. Jamie Seltzer, I think, is that his name? Jay Z whatever. Whatever. I'll find it later. But it was funny. It was Michelle Obama, like like the quotes, right? Like Republicans, also Republicans, kind of thing. So it was like
Yeah.
Michelle Obama, our food isn't healthy. Oh, we should change it. Republicans, you're communists. I hate you. Blah. Right? RFK Jr. Literally anything to food is poison. Yeah. Michelle Obama wanted to give you whole grain Pop Tarts and you hated her. RFK wants to take away your polio vaccine and you're excited. I have no words.
By the way, there's another like mass epidemic or mass pandemic coming. Only this time it's going to be RFK Jr. that's in charge of the. No, but honestly, I don't know that. I don't think RFK is getting confirmed. If this Senate has the stones to stand up to Trump and not confirm Gates, then I don't think Tulsi's getting confirmed, and I don't think that RFK is getting confirmed. The only problem with this is that it may not matter because Trump may try to slam through recess appointments as soon as whenever the Senate takes a break.
Like that's the most horrifying thing in the world. Like the way he went like almost immediately to let me just do this on recess. I want to do all the things myself.
Well, he asked for Thune to immediately call a 10-day recess so he could just do it. Now they're not going to do that. But at some point, they're going to take a recess. I mean, and at that point, whoever's not confirmed or not, Trump's just going to put in there, and they get 2 years. They get 2 years without confirmation. So we'll see. They should do immediate votes on Gates, Tulsi, and RFK. Just not confirmed. Pick someone else, and then they can go on.
I can't believe this is.
I don't love Rubio for. I hate the idea of Rubio for Secretary of State, but that one looks like very sensible compared to some of these other ones.
Yes, compared to the other ones, the only upside to that is he won't be my senator anymore. But the downside to that is that Ron DeSantis gets to handpick the senators.
Oh, that's not going to do. That's not going to save Florida anyway.
But I think we do have. Hold on, Florida special election. You should think I would know this, but I don't.
That would be interesting.
I don't know. I can't.
I have no faith in Florida. I'm sorry.
Well, no, because we're gonna have to have I think it's a special election, but I think, oh yeah, Ron DeSantis calls for an immediate special election to replace Matt Gaetz, but he'll have to do it for Marco Rubio too. If he's
Gaetz wants to wear
special election for a district versus a statewide special election. I don't know.
What's Gaetz' end game, Kathy? Gaetz wants to run for governor, right? Like, so I mean, he resigned from the House.
He wants to avoid federal prison, is what
probably.
He wants to do.
But I mean, he resigned from the House after getting immediately after getting this nomination. But even if he's not confirmed, his next move is to run for governor, right? Like that's his thing.
Probably. I don't know. He won't win. He's not very he wins his own little district because he's got a rich daddy who owns that whole district. but
Because
he
he
wouldn't.
represents the fucking Florida Panhandle, and
No, basically his daddy just buys the election for him. Florida's fucking corrupt as fuck. Like when I
it's
don't even know
amazing
how
to
to.
me how much Republican as much as Democrats hate that guy because he's just like a sniveling little weasel with a 5 head. It's amazing to me how much Republicans hate him more. Republicans hate that guy. Republicans in Washington, anyway. And it's not
I
even
heard
like a
somebody.
rhino thing. Like plenty of MAGA hate Matt Gaetz too. He's
I
just
can't. I heard somebody call him something. Like I know that like Twitter was calling him Rapey McForehead for a while, but somebody called him something that I thought was so funny. It was like I can't remember what it was, but it was like a Jimmy Neutron joke, but it was like rapey Jimmy Neutron or something like that. And like I thought that was really funny. I always called him Evil Johnny Bravo personally
oh, there you go.
because he's
Fox
got that.
contributor Ben Domenech said
Dominant.
Gates is a sex trafficking, drug addicted piece of
That's
shit.
one.
He smells like Axe body spray and Astroglide. He's a hypocritical ass with the worst Botox money can buy, pushing an ever thinner nose and higher cheekbones like a real housewife gone mad for fillers. So there you go.
Yeah, Matt Gaetz
Axe
couldn't
body
get a
spray and
job at 7-Eleven,
Astroglide.
but I know I like this one. It's like Matt Gaetz couldn't get a job at 7-Eleven, but he's welcome to run the highest office, like highest law enforcement office in the country. Totally makes sense. Totally makes sense.
Because in Trump's world, if you're a pedophilic sex trafficker, you get to run the Justice Department.
That's the fucking irony of it, right? Remember like the QAnon crowd and it was like, oh, the Democrats are all groomer. Remember when they were calling me a groomer, Troy? Remember when they were saying that all Democrats were sex criminals? And Donald Trump has literally not appointed anyone to a single position who is not either a sex criminal or in a sex cult, apparently. So
Sex criminals, sex cults,
sure, but I'm the groomer, right?
murders puppies, like multiple puppy murderers in there somehow.
And that's the worst part is like every crazy fucking pick makes you forget about the previous crazy pick, but not one has been fucking normal. Like when Marco Rubio is your most normal decision, like that's fucking.
I can't stand Marco Rubio. I think Marco Rubio is going to be terrible at that fucking job. Huckabee as ambassador to Israel is just.
They're going to kill every single Palestinian. Huckabee and Rubio together. They will kill every single Palestinian they can.
Huckabee doesn't believe Palestine exists. Mm-hmm. And Rubio has said that he wants like every Palestinian to be killed. So there you go. That's what you got. That's what you voted for. Good job. Yeah. All right. Any final thoughts? We're almost out of time, Kathy. We're probably going to have to. I mean, news is going to kind of come fast and then probably slow down over the holidays. We got a lot more picks coming here. Any final thoughts there?
Just bad.
We should do a deep dive on leaving the country. I wanted to talk about it a little bit on this show.
Yeah, I'll be taking notes when you do talk about it. Because
why don't we try to schedule a deep dive this week for like me doing some like out of the country stuff? How's that sound?
Yeah, that would be good because I need notes for no particular reason whatsoever. Just general information. Wink.
All right, I'll prep a deep dive for that. We'll try to schedule that for sometime this week.
I'll do one on tariffs in the next few weeks, just so you can all be aware of what you're fucking in for. I would say stock up. I would do a fucking Costco run before January is what I would say.
I would do stock up on as much as you can.
Everything non-perishable you can pack in your garage. Do it. And follow us on Patreon so I don't end up homeless.
All right, so it's settled. Kathy, who is literally an economics teacher, is going to teach us about tariffs. Who literally left the country and now live in Europe under a work visa, am going to do a basic rundown on leaving the country. Those are the deep dives coming up. Thank you everybody for listening. Stay strong. This is not a give up scenario. This is let's get ready to fight back.
Let's get ready to rumble.
We have to stay vigilant because the shit's about to hit the fan. So everybody, turn off mainstream media, find independent media, find pro-democracy media, whether it's Midas or something else. And let's get ready to fight back. And let's not get too discouraged. Just stay vigilant in your communities. Remember, politics is local. and start running for start planning for the next election. There's an election next year. There's a big midterm at 26, and then the next
And
presidential election is in.
harass the fuck out of your elected people, especially at these confirmation hearings, because they know they're going to be up for re-election again, and let them know how pissed off you are.
This is not
You might spook enough of them. You don't have to spook a lot of them, just enough of them.
This is not a sit on your hands for the next 4 years scenario.
Nope,
the next
this is
election
not.
begins this
Right
week. Get elected, run for office yourselves, join a local party, whatever you need to do. This is a fight back scenario. So
Yep.
thanks, Cathy, for a great conversation. Follow us on Patreon, patreon.com/justbuylesscoffee for bonus exclusive content. Watch the show on YouTube, youtube.com/justbuylesscoffee. And if you're wherever you get your podcasts, if you're listening to this on the audio versions, make sure you're downloading the episode. Click the download button, download the show to your local device. That really helps us out. Thanks everybody for a great conversation. It's good to see you, Cathy. Stay strong. And we will see everybody next time. You've been listening to Just Buy Less Coffee, answering the deeper questions of American politics, featuring Troy Matthews at Keep Troy Blue and Cathy Cannon at Cannon's Fodder. Follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Threads, and X. All opinions are our own.